Hello, my name is Tyler Palmatier. I'm the sports editor with the Daily Elk City, and today we're going to give a quick rundown of the 2012 football season for Elk City High School. If you saw our preview today, you know I have three questions that appear to be the main concerns or storylines for the year, or at least right now. The first one is how big of a concern is depth. Every coach wants to be two players deep at every position. Not everybody can have that. Elk City is an exception. They have a pretty good rotation that Coach Jason Scheck likes in the defensive backfield and on defense. Not everywhere. One place they do have it is the quarterback situation. Another question I asked, does it even matter who plays quarterback? Colin Feller and Cole Rogers have been competing for that position, and we have no indication yet if one has pulled ahead of the other. Rogers left the scrimmage at Altus with an injury to his ankle / Achilles tendon. I've heard both. He did not return, and I do not know a timetable for his return to the team yet as of now. Feller played most of that scrimmage and did play pretty well. He started off 5 for 6, which included a 35, 40-yard touchdown pass to Luke Llewellyn. It was a touchdown pass. It was third play of the game, and it was pretty nice, and he finished the game well, ran well at times. Does it matter who plays quarterback? I don't know if you can say that yet. They both played pretty well, and to have two players at one position, again, going back to depth, is something coaches are happy to have. Both players will step up and play at another position on the field if one is picked. They could both also play. It's something the coaches have been upfront with the entire time. Can everyone stay healthy? Again, goes back to depth. They're an injury away from being very thin at some key spots. If injuries are limited, I believe this is a team that could reach the playoffs and make a run. Staying healthy is going to be the key. Quick rundown on the offense. We've talked about Feller and Rogers. Elias Wiseman's back. He had a hamstring injury last year. Was limited and didn't get to play running back or fullback. It will be interesting to see how he tackles the role this year as a senior. He didn't get the carries last year, so I would expect a hungry player, somebody who's going to want to run and want to score. He's going to be asked to play both sides of the ball. He'll get some time at defensive back. Receivers, in the backfield will be Jarve Jackson, Axton Boone, which will switch off at fullback. Jackson will play nearly every position on the football field. He's going to be a defensive back. He's going to be a linebacker. He's going to line up at receiver. He's just Coach Scheck mentioned to me a few weeks ago, he's just been spotlighted as a playmaker. They're going to try and get the ball in his hands any way they can. Probably top to bottom, probably the best athlete on the team. Receivers, Luke Llewellyn, we mentioned him earlier, big 6'4", 160, 180-pound kid. He's tough to get the ball away from. If he bodies up with you, he's good at positioning himself. He's a great basketball player, knows all about positioning himself. And but when it comes to garnering a rebound, or it's just something he has a knack for. I would expect him to have a breakout year for Elk City. Joining him there are going to be Garrett Parkhurst, Micah Jones, Cameron Coulter, Kyler Butler had a great scrimmage. He had an interception and a touchdown reception. He just has a knack for being in the right place at the right time. He's a three-sport athlete. I'd expect him to have a say in how the Elk City Elks do this season. Mark Adams, a freshman, I would expect him to get on the field some too. As a young guy, it's hard to tell how much, but he had some snaps in the scrimmage and seemed to hold his own out there. Offensive line, Tate Harlan, Tyler Gifford, Jeremy Atkinson, Robbie Decker, and Ben Firth appear to be the first teamers right now. Had a really successful night at Altus protecting the pass. Run blocking wasn't quite as good as pass blocking, but again, it's a scrimmage. Things are going to get worked out, and as the season goes along. And Coach Scheck mentioned there were weaknesses, so that could easily be something that they're going to work on this year before the Thursday opener at Watauga. Senior William Barr and freshman Johnny Ransom are some other guys who are going to play a lot of snaps at the offensive line. Some younger players that are going to see time there: Maroney, Coda, Tyree Jones, Jordan Davis, and A.J. Sanders. Sheck mentioned, players are just a snap away from getting on the field. Those guys could easily see some possessions this year. On defense, this is Jeff Metcalf's first year as defensive coordinator. He hails from Cashin, where he says he blitzed a player about 75 to 80% of the time. So Coach Sheck identified getting to the quarterback as something he wanted to do better this year. Metcalf brings those kinds of looks defensively, so I would expect to see some of that. Guys that are going to be on those plays, at linebacker, you've got Jarvay Jackson, Kyler Butler. Barrick Dyson's a guy we haven't mentioned who's going to play receiver. He's a physical guy, put on about 20 pounds of muscle from last year to this year. He is going to step up and provide a punch again as he has in the past at that position. Going to get a lot of tackles. Defensive line, see offensive line. Harlan, Decker, Atkinson, Gifford, Firth, and William Barr are all going to play there. Moving to defensive back, David Jackson's a sophomore we haven't mentioned yet. He's a young guy who is going to play one of those cornerback positions, and coaches have been pretty complimentary of his play. He's a real athletic guy, and had an interception at Altus right at the end zone, saved a touchdown for the Elks. We've got Wiseman, Llewellyn, Parkhurst may also see time at defensive back. There's going to be a lot of rotating. It's a team that doesn't go super deep. I would expect to see a lot of shuffling players just so guys can stay fresh at any given time. You're not going to see one guy play one position every possession this year. It's not that kind of team. I think coaches hope they have guys who can play a lot of different roles and wear a lot of different hats. At safety, assuming Cole Rogers can get healthy, he's going to be a guy who has been mentioned as the team's best safety all season long. So expect him, if he can get healthy, to play that spot. Coaches are rounding out the kicking positions. Riley Simmons, a soccer player, was 0 for 1 in a field goal attempt at Altus. He's a soccer player, though, has a knack for the motion, has a strong leg. We won't know until we see him kick more how well he's going to be, but I would expect him to get in a lot of kicks before that first game. So I have reason to feel he'll be ready. Overall, I believe depth and injuries are going to play as big a role as anything this year. Elk City's going to move the ball, I feel like. They have some bodies offensively. Defensively, do they have the bodies to stay healthy and stop other teams from scoring, I think is the biggest question. We'll talk about Watonga a little bit. That game is Thursday at 7:30. New coach David Lorenz. He's from Mustang, where he threw the ball around a lot. They return a starting quarterback, Travis Hartfield. They have a lot of replacements on the offensive line, so they will have to have guys who can step up and protect Hartfield in that regard. Watonga's, Class A, but they're ranked number 3 in their district. It's going to be a tough team. It's on the road. It is definitely kind of one of those trap games where Elk City could get caught looking ahead to that Tuttle matchup the next week. They can't let that happen. Watonga's going to come ready to play. Overall, I would expect it. A lot of people might think it'd be a rebuilding year for the Elks. I don't necessarily think it's going to be that, but it could be. It's not going to just come together right away. You might see a team that struggles at first and comes out of it. They start their first 4 out of 5 games are on the road to start the season. It's tough for a team that's just trying to get a feel for things, so expect them to possibly have some struggles. But there's a lot of talent on this team, and they have some seniors and leaders that can get them through that. So it's going to be a wait-and-see deal. I hope everybody enjoys it. I hope you enjoyed this blog. Get used to them. I'm going to try and crank them out as much as I can if I can continue to talk correctly. So from the Elk Citian Sports Desk, thank you for joining us. I'm Tyler Palmatier. See you next time.